Okay. All right. There we are.
You don't like that little extra at the end, do you?
Well, it hangs there.
You always get anxious. You get anxious.
I'm not sure when it's going to drop. Is it going to drop? Is it going to stay? What's it going to do? And, we don't have, Baba Booey in the studio.
You don't need him. You got me.
You're ha-ha hooey.
And that was a good show last week.
It was. I hope more people want to do that. And I'd like to see maybe some regulars come around because she does her homework. She's paying attention now.
She did well. Did very well. Yeah. And I still like that point, and I'm going to bring it up.
Which one?
Well, I have questions for you tonight.
All right.
I have questions. So we'll wait another minute or so to get people in here, and we'll start the show in a sense. Raining up there, huh?
What else is new?
It was nice when I was up there last week.
So, and I was just thinking, this weekend is our annual block party on Emerson Road, and it's too bad. I mean, good for you. You don't have to come back up. But it's probably going to rain. It's probably going to rain.
Yeah, this weekend I will be in our now seems to be home away from home in Florida, St. Augustine, for their amazing 4th of July.
Huh.
Really is. I mean, if I keep going back, listen, us people that grew up in around the city of Boston on the 4th of July, for that whole lead up to it, we understand a good 4th of July celebration. We're very fortunate, and I'm sure there's a lot of small town America places that have great 4th of Julys, right? Not saying Winthrop is the end all, but we were one of those great 4th of July. It's no more fireworks there anymore, right? Yeah.
No. Well, yeah. They have them, but it's not. You know what they don't do is the bonfire, and I'm not even sure if it's still controlled now.
Do they still do a fireworks display?
Yeah, they still do fireworks. I think we missed one year. It's no longer. Wow, my name. I'm blanking the name. The guy from the sound systems and Louis. Yeah. It's no more Louis, obviously, but I think last year maybe it was the former fire chief. I think.
All right. Louis, what, Caruccio?
Yeah.
Oh, no. How can I forget his name?
Flanagan.
Yeah. No.
Flanagan.
Louis. I forget his last name.
Oh, Camacho.
Yeah.
Good guy.
But St. Augustine, they put on a beautiful display over to Mentanza Bay. And, it's nice. Everybody's, it means massacre. Yeah, a lot of history in St. Augustine. It is. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It's an old city.
Yeah. Well, it's the oldest city in the United States. They actually had the first Thanksgiving, believe it or not. The Spaniards.
Really?
Yeah, the Spaniards had it with the...
Welcome to With the Votes. We're going to give you a U.S. history lesson.
Believe me, we know. We learn a lot about... Every time we go there, we take the tram, right? It's like a 90-minute... We know all the spots, right?
People mover.
But we still do it. We love it. The history of that place is amazing. It's just amazing.
Well,
you know?
It's just a nice, fun thing to do because you pick up something new each time you go.
Yeah, I could do the tour by now, but... And everybody's nice and respectful, you know? No bumping into you. They say, excuse me. Everybody's just laid back. It's not rowdy, you know? But, so we're going up there Saturday to, I don't know, the 5th. We're leaving on the 5th, I think. So, there you go. Wow. All right, let's get this ball started. Get this ball rolling.
Ball?
Yeah.
Oh, ball. Like as in a sporting event.
So, this is Interview the Candidate night. Now,
should we have others on? You think they'd come?
What's that?
I said, should we invite others? I heard the news today that someone else pulled papers for at large.
Yeah, we'll have anybody on. I don't think your main opponent, Tracy Honan, will ever come on.
No, not going to happen.
No. Heard a vicious story about her recently, about her mouth and a comment she made to somebody's son. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we won't get into that yet though. But it really shows her character. Hey, first question. Do you have an American flag on your front porch?
Well, at the moment, no, because I need a new one. But 362 days out of the year, I typically have one flying out front.
You have a Ukrainian flag flying in front of your house?
No, I do not, sir.
You know who doesn't have an American flag on their front porch but has a Ukrainian flag on their front porch?
Let me guess, comrade.
Yes. Tracy Honan.
Comrade at-large council.
Yeah. Has the Ukraine flag on her front porch, but not an American flag. What does that tell you about her character? That's why I call her the anti-American Tracy Honan. Yeah. There's more to that. Lots to come. It's going to be a long summer. A lot of stuff getting dredged up on her.
Cool.
But tonight it's about you, buddy.
Okay.
So I solicited questions.
You did?
I did. I can't ask you questions like from myself because, well, we've been doing this for over 2 years now. So it's kind of one-sided. So, I mean, you have to trust me on this. I solicited questions from a handful of people that live in Winthrop. You know, I have a reach. I could have got more, but so let's see. First question, and we're going to get to the basics. What elected position are you seeking?
So I am officially announcing my candidacy for Councilor at Large, Winthrop Town Councilor at Large.
All right. When's the date of that election?
I mean, first Tuesday in November, I think it is,
Okay.
right? First
Beginning
Tuesday in
of
November. You got time. You got time.
Who are you running against?
Yes, the incumbent candidate right now is Tracy Honan.
All right. Do you have all your signatures, or is there a deadline for your signatures?
Deadline is September. I should have them, if I don't already have them, because I have people helping me, I'll have them in short order.
All right. Someone wants to know, in your opinion, what makes you the best candidate for this prestigious elected position?
Well, first of all, and maybe I'm wrong for saying this, but prestigious, I don't know. I would be humbled to sit in the seat and be chosen by the people of Winthrop, especially given some of the earned and not earned press. I think it would say a lot about our democratic system. But the question is, what things? I mean, yeah, that's really a good question. First of all, I don't do this to advance myself in any way. I'm not reluctant to do this, but this wasn't something that I woke up and said, I got to do this right now. I see Winthrop moving in a direction that I partially welcome. I've always stood behind the idea of developing the center. I'm not sure the type of development we're at this point is fruitful or not. We can have that conversation. We do have a completely sold out, if you will, Somerset Ave building. But I don't know that the numbers work, and they may not, and we can have that conversation too. But so I'm doing this because I care. I'm doing this because I don't want us to continue to steamroll towards the eradication of the middle class, because we are being priced out. I would love the opportunity to pass away in my own bed, but I don't see that happening, based upon the trajectory of our taxes. And by the way, there will be at the very least a debt exclusion on the ballot in November for a new fire station. I believe. I'm very confident that we now will have a debt exclusion on top of a $500,000 trash fee, and then an additional $500,000 in bags that they project to try to make up for $1 million mess up by Austin Faison and that council, which unfortunately my opponent was a part of. And who actually, after all of these things happened, correct my chronology, but I believe he got a strong review and raises and bonuses. Oh, and he was working from home. Anyway, so yeah, in a nutshell, I'm here for everybody. I'm not here for any particular one group or another. I'm here for everybody, young, old, and everybody knows the kid. I'm here for the kids, and that's why I think I'm the best candidate.
I think you just touched on something. You maybe can keep going with it. In your opinion, what are the most pressing issues that currently confront the town of Winthrop? I think you touched on a few in that.
Well, Scott, money is always the question, and it really comes down to how you look at it. So there's a large faction of our community that says we have a spending problem. Nope, I lied. Well, yeah, there's a good sized faction of our community that says we have a spending problem. There's a good sized faction of our community that says we have a revenue problem. And at the end of the day, neither of those things matters, really, because the answer is you have a very simple process to get more money out of town and into your budget, and it's called an override or a debt exclusion, which we talked about. So, forgive me, but that process should be kept to with regard to raising revenues for the town, and revenue is our biggest pressing issue, and how we go about getting it is, I think, closely tied as the second issue, because there's a pretty good division in that conversation. Is there more than one? Did you want more than one?
It's up to you. I mean, what do you think? You have more?
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said, I think we're being priced out as a middle class. One of the things I want to take a good hard look at is the trash fee. I'm dead set against this. Getting back to talking about pressing issues of money. Again, fine. If we had a trash fee issue, a trash contract issue, which again came up under Austin Faison, then let's go back to the people and ask them for the money to refund that budget line, because trash has always been part of the services provided by the general budget. Trash, snow removal, sidewalks, tree removal, water, sewer, public safety. All of that has been run out of the property taxes and of other monies that get put into the general fund. So the right way to do this is not to do a trash fee. So I think that is something that also adds to the burden of the taxpayer. Our water rates have gone up $2 since $2 per cubic yard. I don't know the exact measurement, but $2 per cubic yard, I believe it is. They've gone up since 2019. That's and a lot of that was the center business district, but that was also the town manager who has the authority to raise the rates, raising the rates. I just think we're squeezing the middle class out of our community, and that to me is a detriment to any good community, because it's like the nation at large, right? A great country thrives when they have a thriving middle class.
All right. Let's see. So we already know why you're running. Somebody asked that. Somebody wanted to know why you're the best person. I got that. Describe your experience. Like, what makes you qualified, or have you been on another committee?
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah. So I don't, it's always an interesting question. How do you really know what makes what experience is needed and what's going to make a great counselor? I think you have to have some business savvy. I've run some small businesses in my past. I've been a salesman my entire career, which is basically everything to do with running a business, without except the back office work. But you're marketing, you're selling, you're contracting, you're looking at your budget. So I have that as an asset. I was on the school committee. I understand how the budgets work. I have a grasp of budgets. Um, I want to see progress. Again, I can't say it enough. I'm not against responsible development. I'm certainly not for, turning two families into six families, turning two units into six units in neighborhoods. I don't think that bodes well for parking and other issues. And it just creates too much density, which creates friction. You you go to Jeffrey's Point, or you just read on there's a Facebook group, Jeffrey's Point Facebook group. I go out there for laughs just to read now some of the stuff that they're griping about at each other, and they're all just packed in there. It's not easy. Wintertime's miserable, so why we don't have to have that here? It's kind of tight as it is. Why make it that much worse in the neighborhoods?
All right. What do you think is the most important skill of being a good town councilor? In your case, town councilor at large.
Some might be surprised by this answer, but I mean, look, you have to be willing to give something up to get something. You have to be willing to compromise. I certainly have made known my positions. I certainly have very strong opinions. But you can ask anybody that's ever had a serious conversation with me. They'll tell you I have compromised. I understand the art of compromise. Of course, we're all going to have certain things that are non-starters. For me, it's kids. It's that simple. Um, Other than that, I'm pretty open-minded to most anything.
All right. What will be your goals if elected to the Winthrop Town Council?
The 30,000-foot view is just for us to get back to basics. We're spending far too much time distracted from the simple stuff. I don't want to ever hear again that a resident of our community who was trying to use the ferry that we're trying to make successful to get to work go down at the ferry at the time the schedule told her to be there, only to find out that the schedule was wrong. Some of the simple things need to be done before we start expanding out into areas that are beyond what really the primary focus of our government is. Streets, roads, trees, parks, schools, education, public safety, water and sewer. I mean, we really have to put our focus back on things um, that are the basics that help us just function as a community. I mean, I'll say this: I got to give a hats off to Tony. I saw new windows going into the police station, and I believe they're replacing the original windows from the post office that was there. I mean, it looked like it.
So, it's funny you said that, because I noticed that when I was up there last week. It's funny you said that. Yeah, I was like, that building is old. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and we just had the clock tower, which that was started by
Richie Farino. 20 years ago.
That was his baby. Yeah, 20 years ago. I think I see a question
from Derek Burns. What's your plan for the middle school?
Well, Derek, there are already some discussions underway, so I'm not sure, by the time, if I win, by the time I get sworn in, where the plans they're proposing are. But I can tell you what I'd be in favor of. And I mean, I'm kind of you'd almost call me wishy-washy, because I'm very open-minded on it. But here's the non-starters for me: the rink stays. And if we can expand that in some way and build some type of athletic center where we can have, basketball tournaments, ice hockey tournaments, a rec center for the kids, and maybe some green space somewhere. I'm for that too. As long as it can be funded via hockey tournaments and basketball tournaments and the like. I hear they're looking to finish off Waldemar because Waldemar kind of goes down that side street off of Pauline, and there's a discussion there about potentially putting housing there. Couple of two families or something like that. So I'm kind of okay with that too, as long as they don't mess with the conservation land. They need to leave that alone.
All right. How are you funding your campaign, or how do you plan to fund your campaign?
Yeah, I need to have a fundraiser.
Okay.
So I have to set up an account. I have to get myself together. I know I have to register. I can't remember the acronym right now, but it's an election commission of sorts. And then I can start taking money. But right now, I cannot do any of that. Just kind of focused on getting out there a little bit, grabbing signatures and catching the vibe.
All right. Here's a good question. It was someone sent it to me in a text. Let me see. It says tied. I don't know what that means. Tied for over 2 years now. The golf course has had a new shed that was purchased by the town of Winthrop. There's still 4 storage containers on the property. What would you do to alleviate the situation, as well as, situation, as we all know, the golf course is conservation and recreation land, not an area to park storage facilities. Please explain what you would do in order to alleviate this problem.
So I'd have to bone up on my knowledge about what's going on there, but this stems from an issue from the time we were redoing Miller Field. And there were deals made between the town and the golf course, because the original shed that was there, that I guess it stored lawnmowers and fertilizers and replacement heads for the sprinklers and all that sort of stuff. And it had running water and power in it, if I remember correctly. And so it had to come down for the building, for the field to be built. I believe it had to come down just to be kind of a staging area too. That's the sin of it. So the golf course, when it was all said and done, what they got was 4 storage containers with no power and no water. So I believe it's checkmate, and I believe it's the town's move, not the golf club's move. So if that's the case, we're going to have to figure out what legally can be done, and I would refer it to our legal counsel to give us advice on that, and send it also off to, I can't think of which committee, for us to start taking it up, because I don't believe storage canisters can be used unless they're just storage. They're just acting as a shed, but you can't put power in them. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the issue is, but I know that's the issue. They need to have power and water in the shed that they lost, or at least power.
All right.
Hope that provides an answer.
Let's see. Winthrop has a serious issue with meeting minutes on committees and boards. What would you do to rectify this problem?
So ultimately, any appointed committees really are, they're managed by the town council president. So my options would be fairly limited to how I could address the issue. But certainly I think, I always believe that sunlight is the best disinfectant. So bringing things up in open discussion and looking for solutions. There are, in fairness, there are certain committees that do not have to keep minutes. They're not, I believe it's only the direct subcommittees of the council that are required by state law to keep minutes and agendas and all that. They have to follow open meeting. The appointed ones, because they're not elected, are not held to the same standard. So it's going to be difficult. But, I think getting input from the people who are serving on those boards now would matter, just to see what they think about what are their challenges? Why aren't they keeping minutes? Why aren't they posting agendas? Why is it so difficult for us to get information on the website? Like, what is the backlog? Do you have the minutes? Have you submitted them and they're just not getting uploaded? So there's a whole bunch of different moving pieces. So I can't give you a definitive answer other than to say those are the things I'd look at.
So last week, we had your friend on, right? Carol. She mentioned that her husband's disabled.
She did.
And that he couldn't make it to these meetings, right? She suggested Zoom meetings. Would you be opposed to committees and boards all doing Zoom meetings? Every meeting is a Zoom meeting. The town has the capability for the benefit of the disabled citizens of Winthrop.
So I am so glad that she had mentioned that. There's first of all, let's delineate between Zoom meetings and Zooming the meeting for the benefit of the public. Excuse me 1 second. I like when they don't sneak up on you. So one thing that is not cool, I shouldn't say not cool, but one thing that is a bit frustrating when you're serving on a committee is having members of the committee be virtual. It's not the end of the day. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't, but it's just different. And I'd prefer everybody be in the same room. I think the conversations flow better. In order to engage the person on the Zoom, you usually have to kind of stop and remember that they're there, unmute them. They have to be buzzing in. I don't know. Like I said, I have a preference, but it's not the end of the world to me. I think for the purposes of keeping a digital electronic backup of every word said in our meetings, it should be done. I think for the benefit of our Americans with disabilities, it should be done. I think for accountability purposes, it should be done. A lot of things, there's just a whole lot of a lack of accountability for what people do or don't do and say or don't say. So, we are in the digital era. Cops have to wear, chest cameras now. There's cameras all over the town, peeking in your car when you're driving. Your neighbors' Ring cameras. Probably somebody somewhere setting up Ring cameras all over their house and snooping on their neighbors. I mean, we might as well put the meetings on the digital recording and get up to 2020.
Would you say that the way Winthrop politics puts itself out there is antiquated and could probably use, a digital upgrade or, welcome to 2023 type thing? Since the way they post things, the way the website is run. I had a question. We beat up the website. We beat it up to death. But somebody had sent a question saying, when are they going to fix the town website? What's your take on that? What would your input try to be? What would your input be on that?
Well, interestingly, when I first met the town manager, I mentioned it in part of our conversation. Like, I've already got that on my list of things to do. How he prioritizes it, unfortunately, is up to him. But, again, we have influence, right? I mean, he does report to the council through the council president. So, but we, at the end of the day, we have to give the town manager some leeway, and let him do his job. And we hired him for his qualities and his ability to lead. We have to give him some rope to do that. So I hope that answers the question.
All right. See.
Did I miss any of it, Scott? Feel free.
No, somebody
Been a
commented in written minutes may not actually reflect what was said during the meeting. That's true. Minutes can also be edited by the committee members before posting the website to censor or limit what was actually said, which is true, which once again, I think, Todd, you're an advocate, I think was your point, for every meeting, for the fact that this gentleman, your friend's husband, wants to go to these meetings. She became heavily involved. What's her name again? I'm sorry.
Carol
Yeah.
Meach, formerly
Yes.
Carrie, class of 1986.
She started getting very involved. She, her story was, she watched us, she turned us off, but then she turned us back on. She filtered out.
I can't listen to these
she
guys.
filtered it out. You know, she said she's a moderate, middle of the road Democrat, and she filtered it out. And because of us, she started learning what was really going on. And she started getting involved. And then her husband evidently wants to know, how can I get to these meetings? He's disabled. And there's no ability to do that. I think we said it with Bill the Shill Smith, head of the Board of Health. He stopped doing Zoom meetings because he got caught lying on a Zoom meeting. So he decided to I don't have to do that anymore, which is not fair to that gentleman and others who can't make it to these meetings. Would you agree?
I agree 1,000%.
Right. So
I mean,
is that a torch you're willing to carry? Is that a hill that you would die on for the benefit of the people who can't make it to these meetings, who want to know what's going on in their town?
The number of hills I'm actually willing to die on is frightening. So I better have more than 9 lives, because I think sometimes a lot of little things matter. And I'll just say, symbols do matter. I mean, we've had uproars, just focusing on a national level. We've had uproars about, statues, flags, and we've been lectured on how these things have symbols and they provide cover and comfort, and they're what's the words that I always hear being used? Not cat calls. That's not the right word. It's a signal. It's a silent signal. Yeah, no, it's a silent signal that you're welcome here. Come here. Yeah. This is right. That works all different ways if you're ever going to use that argument, and it creates more arguments. So, I think, getting, like I've been saying all along, getting back to the basics and just focusing on making sure that what we have works. Schools is another thing I'm passionate about. I mean, I served 4 years on the school committee. I don't understand. Well, I do understand, and this will be talked about more and more throughout my campaign. We get a bunch of new money. The school gets a bunch of new money added to their budget every year. And, to do with what they are allowed to do. How is it then that I believe it's now been 7 or 8 years that we still don't have a contiguous Spanish program from elementary school through high school? Takes a break in middle school. And we only have Spanish. We don't even have another option. I mean, that's just one of my complaints about the schools. How is this? So, this goes back to the money thing, right? So, and you know what? The other tricky part is that will be talked about ad nauseum in my campaign is that the money thing it's a question of our willingness to spend it appropriately. We can't or go to the people and ask them for the money and tell them what it is for. If you're going to go and say to the people of Winthrop, we need an override for $2.5 million, there better be more than just utilities, copy machines, ink, and paper being paid for. I'm sure, or I shouldn't say I'm sure. And what I hope is a lot of it is maintenance and programs, bringing back meaningful programs and eliminating user fees. Like, it's atrocious that we charge a tax on the poor. And I know I'm going off here a little bit, but you got me wound up talking about the kids. And, it is utterly amazing to me that the same people that want to invest more money into our, free and reduced lunch style programs and, also want to charge those people who need to be free and reduced user fees. Or they know they don't. They want the rest of us to pay for it. So I get to pay user fees for my kid. I get to pay. And by the way, I do this. I've helped the children pay user fees that couldn't pay them. So, that's not right. A child shouldn't even have to ask for that money.
All right. Somebody said, Derek Burns again said, where in the budget would you cut and where do you think more should be spent? Oh, boy.
Loaded. Fireball, I'm done. How do I dance around this minefield? Look, it's no secret that the bulk of any budget of any operation, whether it's for profit, private, government, whatever, its biggest expense is its people. Cutting isn't ever going to happen there. If you look at our budget, and this, I take this from some of my friends on the finance advisory committee. I take this from them. There's no technical waste in our budget. Now when they're looking at the budget, they can't see where there might be leaks, drips, people, I'm exaggerating here. Don't get upset. People sleeping on the job type stuff, buddy punching, any of that kind of stuff that, or inefficient heating. They can't see any of that. They can only see what's on paper. And on paper, we're not wasting money. So to answer your question, it really is going to take a scalpel, and it's going to take things we can't do because of collective bargaining. We need to be able to build a different kind of scale in our employee ranks because, I shouldn't say that. Or we need to go back to the taxpayer. It's not really cutting the budget. It's asking the people if they'll pay more. Let me kind of change this a little bit, Derek, because I alluded to this earlier about you can look at it two ways. You can say we spend too much or we don't get enough money, but it's irrelevant really. But to expound on that a little bit, because this is really an important point, in the end, if you are an entity producing something and you need money that you need to get from people from elsewhere to fund it, you have to live within that budget. Whatever money you get, you have to live within that budget. So whether or not we're spending too much or not enough or whatever is dictated by the community. And I would suggest if we want to really see if our budget is where it needs to be, we ask the community, because that's what 2.5 is all about. And we've circumvented that with going back to trash fees. We've circumvented the people's right to decide their budget as laid out by 2.5. You're given just enough room to go up 2.5. After that, no more. So now you come up with these sneaky back end fees, user fees, trash fees, parking fees. What's next fees? What's next?
All right. Stephen Romano wants to know, how much money are we spending on the old middle school per year? Do you know? Is the answer too much?
I've had that figure in my head, and I want to say $1 million, but maybe it's 100,000. It's. I don't want to make everybody that looks bad enough already look worse. This is another of this. Not necessarily this new committee as it's constituted from the last election, but prior to that, committees. I mean, this has been sitting there under the watch of 2 former council presidents, maybe 3 former council presidents. I'd have to look back to clear it up. And how many current council members? 1, 2, 3, 4 current council members have been on this council, and this has sat like this all that time. But we got bike lanes. We got bike lanes to nowhere.
Right. Yep.
Right.
That's for sure.
And that's someone asked a question. I'm going to look into this. Should I get elected? Fine. If I have to live with bike lanes and scooters and mopeds that pass me on the right, cut me off, go up one ways, blow through stop signs and red lights, we're going to license you and we're going to make sure you have insurance. Otherwise, you can't ride around. If I can do this legally, I'm doing it. I'm going to try my damnedest to get something like that passed. They are reckless out there. I mean, if you're like, just out of courtesy, if you're leaving Winthrop and you're in that bike sharrow going into East Boston and you're causing a traffic jam that we're already dealing with because you won't pull over and let us go, on principle, someone should drive by and scuff you on the back of the head. I mean, just a little courtesy won't kill you.
Just on a side note, I live in Boca I live in a big community, and they just, my community just put a ban on golf carts.
Oh, they were driving around the roads in the golf carts?
Yeah. Listen, I don't have any issue with it myself. Have fun. You get hit, that's on you. You know what I mean? But golf carts.
Don't ban them. Make them get licensed and
well,
carry
the state of Florida
I
think they did that. There has to be a license now. I mean, I've seen kids like 12 years old driving golf carts with like 3 other kids in it. Like, it's fun, Good parents trust you.
How's that different from you and your buddies driving your parents' car when you were 13?
Well, I didn't have a car. My mother didn't drive, so. How do you feel now? How do you feel now?
Someone in your life. I feel small, but someone in your life had a car.
Thanks for reminding me how poor I was growing up.
Oh, yeah. Really? Well,
my mom, we're on welfare. Right. My mom didn't have a car, So you want me to keep going?
What do you think? You talking to Diamond Jim Brady over here?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, yeah, we had lots of money.
Let's get back to the point. Somebody sent me a text.
Oh, for God's sake, call
I want to hear if he thinks it's a good idea to keep the ferry or not. Let me see. Not brought in $6,900 last year and cost. Oh, it brought in $6,900 last year, cost over $450,000 to operate. And I don't want to hear it's a good idea to keep it because they're shutting the tunnel down for 2 months. Now, if I'm not mistaken, we spoke on this. The T took over the ferry, right? As of July 1st, right? Or 2nd?
Yes, I think it's the
1st. Okay, actually. Now they are officially in charge of the ferry, right? It's not just for the summertime while the tunnel is being fixed. They are like, okay, we own and operate this now, right?
I believe we're getting extra service because of the tunnel, but what do I know? To be honest, I'm not paying that close of attention.
So it's extra service.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still paying for it.
No. Well, I mean, how do we fund the MBTA besides our fares? Some of our state tax money goes to the MBTA. So technically, yeah, we're still paying for it.
Okay, so the T, I just want to get this clear. So Kurt Millar just said, who's running for Precinct 2, Councilor?
You'll know the guy, Precinct 2.
Vote for Kurt Millar, Precinct, if you're in Precinct 2, which is the maze, right? Area around it. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, he's
he says there is a lease with the MBTA for the ferry. Okay. I also heard that there's a reduction in fare due to the shutdown of the tunnel, and it's going to be cheaper to use the ferry, which they'll probably create more trips back and forth, which will boomerang into having a schedule that's normal and that's up to date, I would hope, right?
Well, that depends on the website.
All right. Let me see. Someone just sent me a text. MBTA is leasing the ferry from the town. Okay. Let me see. I think that's all the questions I have.
Oh, good. Really?
Yeah,
That's it, huh?
We were right at 45 minutes. I think that's what we were going to go with. Do you have anything in closing to say, candidate Sacco for Councilor at Large for the town of Winthrop?
Yeah. I guess first I'm going to say, look, there is no doubt that you have one of two views of me. You really like me, dare I say love me, or you really dislike me, dare I say hate me. The ones who fall into the dislike me, hate me camp mostly have never uttered a word to me. And I would encourage you to be a little more open-minded. Because unlike how we're being served today on our council, I'm humble enough to know that not everything is about the people that agree with me and me. There has to be compromise. And I will challenge my opponents to have a conversation about what we might agree and disagree upon anytime you want to. Anytime. And I also want to say that, that because of all of this kind of, look, there's these feelings about me. There's absolutely some of it comes from a place where you get to see snippets or it's just this baggage, I guess you could say, I carry. I stand by everything I've done and or said because I've never hurt anybody. I've said I was sorry when appropriate. And if any one of my haters out there can make that same claim, good for you. Let's say that we're sorry to each other and let's try to form a relationship and move forward in the places where we can move forward, which would require open and honest conversation and respect towards each other. And on that note, if you like what you heard tonight, please share this with everyone you know. This election, you probably hear every election cycle, this is the most important election. I'm not going to say that, but what I am going to say is this. If we do not have some balance on that board, your bike lanes to nowhere are going to increase. Your fees are going to increase. You're likely going to see attempts to get overrides, not just debt exclusions on the ballot, but outright 2.5 overrides. And I'm not saying we shouldn't be talking about those things, by the way, but I am saying we need to talk about, if you're going to bring up overrides, that conversation better come with, okay, we're getting rid of the trash fee, or, okay, we're getting rid of user fees in the schools. Otherwise, it should be a non-starter. Thank you for watching. And remember, all politics starts at the local level. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is twice now, and I'm running. So please, I could use your support.
And I will say that I think it's safe to say, and I think I'm 100% correct when I say that Todd Sacco will be the most accessible town councilor in the history of the town council. He'll be the most transparent in the history of the town council because he has the ability to come on live anytime he wants and at least once a week with Winthrop Votes. And he'll be here every week unless we go on a vacation or something or one of us takes a break. He'll be here every week to answer your questions. No town councilor, especially his opponent. I don't even think she has coffee with the councilor get-togethers. I don't think Tracy Honan does anything other than sit on the board and frown. She always has a mug on her face, always frowning. I don't know. That's just my observation. That's my opinion. But it's a fact that Todd will be the most accessible town councilor in the town council history. Take advantage of that because the others seem to just hide. They pop up every once in a while, show their face, have a coffee with, a couple people, and you have to go out of your way to go see them. With Todd, you can get with him from the comfort of your own home, your car. You're on the T, coming home from work. You'll have access to him. Just pump in a question. You don't even have to call. No other town councilor will ever have that. They won't do it, or they would have done it by now. Or they're just not forward thinkers like Todd is. Because Todd, if I'm not mistaken, we've discussed a number of times just bringing the town into the 21st century, right?
Yep.
Bring it all. I mean, we talked about this. So take advantage. Vote for Todd. He'll be there to answer your questions. That whether you like the answers or not, he'll be there. He'll own what he votes for. He'll explain what he votes for. So, okay, one last comment. Stephen Romano, the town council history has been a joke so far. Should probably go back to selectmen. Listen, Todd tried to break it from how many people, how many councilors down to what? What was your
7, 9.
You want to go
7.
9 to 7, right? They don't want to do that. They want more.
They voted to save their jobs, essentially. Didn't give you the opportunity. We'll talk about that too, because that's an intricate conversation that's not over yet.
Yep. So, Stephen, you're on to something there that Todd's been on to. Todd and I have already talked about this. Todd tried to take action on it. It will never go back to selectmen, but you got to reduce the government. There's no need for 9 councilors. But they voted to save their jobs.
They did. They voted to save their power. And it's weird. It's town council.
Yeah, well,
who cares?
like you said, all politics starts at the local level. They
I actually don't think it's power. They yell at me. The people that I've said to their faces who voted against putting our questions out to the people essentially said in no uncertain terms that their thought was smarter. They're smarter than the rest of the community. Yeah. They shouldn't have a chance to see that. And they know if you told them they would have had an opportunity, they would have wanted a chance to vote on it. There's no question about it.
Todd wanted to put it to the people. You were on the what committee was it?
Ordinance review.
Todd wanted to put it to the people. Kurt Millar wanted to put it to the people. Nope. Councilors voted it down. They might as well just be Congress.
Oh, by the way, wait, we got to talk about this. Okay. I'm sorry.
No,
sorry.
It's a live stream. We got all night.
Black plasticware is a ban. Bill banned it.
Banned in Winthrop.
Bill the Bandit banned in Winthrop. Now, wait, I have to be fair, though. There is a quote-unquote legitimate reason. Apparently. I haven't done any research on it because it's just not worth it because it's so stupid. The reason's fair, but it's stupid that they haven't solved it yet. Apparently, the lasers on the separating tools, the machines that separate the recyclables, can't pick up the black utensils and the black plates and the black containers.
But if you're having a picnic or a cookout or a barbecue, whatever you want to call it, or a throwdown or a hoedown at a party, you can bring black plastic where and use it in your house and just throw it away, right?
Well, he just discouraged recycling because now people are just going to get fed up with more of this nonsense. Because, okay, you order from Nick's or you order from somewhere and it comes in a black plastic thing. You're supposed to separate that for trash, but put the clear one in the recycle. Wait, let me get out my directions on how to recycle. It's going to be as big as the Bible, for God's sakes, if this keeps going. You're just discouraging the end game. It's amazing to me how mind-numbingly.
Well, whatever. Bill Schmidt's a puppet, anyways. He does whatever. This is the popular thing. They're doing it in Somerville.
Yeah, and that's where we're headed. That's why I'm running. Let me answer that question again. That's why I'm running,
buddy. All right.
Somerville used to be a blue-collar town. Look at it now. You can't afford to live there.
Nope.
Anyway,
all right. Well,
thank you.
Good show. Good interview. We'll be back next Tuesday night. And Todd will be back again. He's going to be back every week. Most accessible town councilor in the history of the town council. And it's just beginning. The election's in November. So we're going to be dealing with it all summer. So have any questions? Let us know. And we'll see you next Monday.